What if everything you believed about morality was wrong? What if the key to a just society lay in a single, unwavering principle? Imagine waking up one day to discover that the choices you make every day, what you deem right or wrong, are based on a flawed understanding of ethics. In a world filled with moral ambiguity, where every decision seems to come with its own set of complications, could there be a universal truth that guides us? Consider this. Every day, we face dilemmas that test our values. Should you tell a white lie to spare someone's feelings? Or is honesty the best policy even if it hurts? When is it acceptable to break a promise? What about the greater good? Does it justify individual sacrifice? These questions swirl around us, creating a fog of uncertainty. But what if there was a way to cut through that fog? Today, we dive into the philosophy of Immanuel Kant, a thinker who believed that morality could be distilled into a single, powerful idea. He proposed a concept that challenges our very understanding of right and wrong, the categorical imperative. This principle not only seeks to define our moral obligations, but also aims to establish a framework for ethical decision-making that transcends personal biases and situational contexts. Join me as we unravel the complexities of Kant's philosophy and explore how it can illuminate our path in a world where moral clarity often feels out of reach. Immanuel Kant, born in 1724 in Königsberg, Prussia, was a philosopher who sought to understand the foundations of human knowledge and morality. His work emerged during the Enlightenment, a time when reason and individualism were beginning to challenge traditional authority and dogma. Kant believed that human beings are not merely passive recipients of moral laws. Rather, we have the capacity to reason and discern right from wrong through our rational faculties. At the core of Kant's philosophy is the idea that morality is not subjective or based on personal feelings. Instead, he argued that there exists a universal moral law that applies to all rational beings. This idea is crucial in today's world, where ethical relativism often leads to confusion and conflict. In a society where diverse cultures and beliefs coexist, Kant's vision of a universal moral framework offers a way to navigate the complexities of human interaction. Kant's categorical imperative serves as a guiding principle for ethical behavior, suggesting that our actions should be based on maxims that can be universally applied. This means that before we act, we should ask ourselves, would I want everyone to act in the same way? This question not only encourages us to consider the broader implications of our actions, but also fosters a sense of responsibility toward others. As we explore Kant's ideas, we'll see how they resonate in contemporary discussions about ethics, justice, and human rights. In a world grappling with issues like climate change, social justice, and technological advancements, understanding Kant's moral philosophy can provide us with the tools to make informed and ethical choices. So let's delve deeper into the heart of Kant's philosophy and uncover the essence of the categorical imperative. At the heart of Kant's philosophy lies the categorical imperative, a concept that revolutionized the way we think about morality. But what exactly is the categorical imperative? In simple terms, it is a moral law that applies universally, regardless of personal desires or situational contexts. Kant believed that true moral actions are those that can be universally accepted and applied to all rational beings. To understand this better, let's break it down into its fundamental components. The categorical imperative can be expressed in several formulations, but the most famous is, act only according to that maxim whereby you can, at the same time, will that it should become a universal law. This means that before you take any action, you should consider whether the principle behind that action could be adopted by everyone without contradiction. In other words, if everyone acted in the same way, would it lead to a just and functional society? For Kant, morality isn't about personal gain or emotions, it's about duty and rationality. He argued that our moral obligations are derived from reason, not from the consequences of our actions or our feelings about them. This is a significant departure from consequentialist theories, which suggest that the morality of an action is determined by its outcomes. Instead, Kant posits that the intention behind an action is what truly matters. If your intention is to act in accordance with moral law, then you are fulfilling your duty. Another key aspect of the categorical imperative is the idea of treating others as ends in themselves, not merely as means to an end. This principle emphasizes the inherent dignity and worth of every individual. It challenges us to recognize the humanity in others and to act in ways that respect their autonomy and rights. For Kant, this is not just a moral guideline, it is a fundamental requirement for ethical behavior. In essence, the categorical imperative invites us to reflect on our actions and their implications for the broader community. It encourages us to think critically about our moral choices and to strive for a society where everyone is treated with respect and dignity. As we continue to explore the real-world applications of Kant's philosophy, we'll see how these principles can guide us in our daily lives and ethical decision-making. Now that we have a grasp of Kant's categorical imperative, let's explore how this philosophy applies to our everyday lives. The beauty of Kant's ideas lies in their universality. They can be applied to a wide range of ethical dilemmas we face in modern society, providing a moral compass that guides our actions and decisions. Consider the issue of honesty, a fundamental aspect of human relationships. Imagine you're in a situation where a close friend asks for your opinion on a new outfit they're excited about. You think it looks terrible, but you also know that telling them the truth might hurt their feelings. This scenario presents a classic moral dilemma. According to Kant's philosophy, you would need to ask yourself, if everyone were in this situation, would it be acceptable for them to lie to spare someone's feelings? Kant would argue that honesty is a moral duty, and that we should treat our friends with respect by being truthful, even if it's uncomfortable. This doesn't mean being cruel. Rather, it means finding a way to express your opinion that is both honest and compassionate. You might say, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but I think there are other options that might suit you better. This approach respects both your friend's feelings and your commitment to honesty. Another example can be found in the realm of business ethics, where the stakes can be particularly high. Imagine a company that discovers a significant flaw in one of its products after it has already been released to the public. The management faces a critical choice. Should they disclose the flaw, potentially harming their sales and reputation, or should they keep it quiet to protect their profits? From a Kantian perspective, the right choice is to be transparent about the issue. By doing so, the company respects its customers and treats them as ends in themselves, rather than merely as means to profit. This commitment to honesty can ultimately build trust and loyalty among consumers, demonstrating that ethical behavior can lead to long-term success. In fact, companies that prioritize ethical practices often find that their reputation enhances their brand value, attracting customers who appreciate integrity. However, applying the categorical imperative isn't always straightforward, especially in complex situations where the right course of action may not be clear. Let's take a look at a more intricate scenario, the question of whistleblowing. Suppose an employee discovers that their company is engaging in illegal activities, such as falsifying financial records or endangering public safety. If they report this wrongdoing, they could face severe repercussions, including job loss, legal action, or social ostracism. Yet, if they remain silent, they are complicit in the unethical behavior, potentially putting others at risk. Here, the categorical imperative challenges the individual to consider the broader implications of their actions. By choosing to speak out, they uphold their moral duty to protect others from harm, even at a personal cost. This decision can be incredibly difficult, as it pits personal loyalty against ethical responsibility. These examples illustrate the power of Kant's philosophy in guiding our moral decisions. While the categorical imperative provides a clear framework for ethical behavior, it also invites us to engage in critical thinking about the consequences of our actions. It encourages us to strive for a world where honesty, respect, and dignity are upheld, even when faced with difficult choices. Moreover, Kant's philosophy can be applied to larger societal issues, such as human rights and environmental ethics. For instance, when considering climate change, we might ask ourselves, if everyone acted in ways that disregarded the environment, what would the world look like? This reflection can motivate individuals and organizations to adopt sustainable practices that honor our duty to future generations. As we continue to explore the philosophical conflicts surrounding Kant's ideas, we'll see that while his principles are compelling, they are not without their challenges. The real world is often messy and complicated, and the application of a universal moral law can lead to difficult questions and dilemmas. Yet, it is precisely in these complexities that Kant's philosophy shines, urging us to think critically and act with integrity. While Kant's categorical imperative offers a robust framework for ethical decision-making, it is not without its critics and challenges. One of the primary criticisms of Kantian ethics is its rigidity. Critics argue that the categorical imperative can lead to morally questionable outcomes because it does not take into account the complexities and nuances of real-life situations. Life is rarely black and white, and ethical dilemmas often involve competing values and interests that cannot be easily reconciled with a strict adherence to universal moral laws. For instance, consider the classic ethical dilemma of lying to protect someone's life. Imagine you are hiding a friend from a dangerous individual who intends to harm them. When the assailant comes knocking at your door, they ask if your friend is inside. According to Kant's philosophy, you would be morally obligated to tell the truth, as lying would violate the categorical imperative. However, many would argue that in this situation, lying could be the more ethical choice, as it protects an innocent life. This scenario highlights a significant limitation of Kantian ethics. It can sometimes demand adherence to moral rules that lead to harmful consequences. Another criticism revolves around the idea of moral absolutism inherent in Kant's philosophy. By asserting that certain actions are categorically right or wrong, Kant's framework can overlook the importance of context and the potential for moral growth. Critics argue that morality should be more flexible, allowing for the consideration of circumstances and the potential outcomes of our actions. This perspective aligns more closely with consequentialist theories, which prioritize the results of actions over the intentions behind them. Moreover, some philosophers contend that Kant's emphasis on rationality and duty may neglect the emotional and relational aspects of human life. Emotions play a crucial role in our moral decision-making, and a purely rational approach may lead to a disconnection from the very human experiences that shape our ethical beliefs. For example, in situations involving family or close friends, emotional bonds can significantly influence our moral choices. Critics argue that a more holistic approach to ethics should incorporate both rationality and emotional intelligence. Despite these criticisms, Kant's philosophy remains influential and relevant. It challenges us to think critically about our moral obligations and the principles that guide our actions. While the categorical imperative may not provide all the answers, it serves as a valuable starting point for ethical discussions. As we navigate the complexities of modern life, it is essential to engage with these philosophical conflicts and consider how we can integrate Kantian principles with other ethical frameworks to create a more nuanced understanding of morality. As we reflect on Kant's categorical imperative and the discussions surrounding it, we uncover deeper meanings that resonate with our contemporary moral landscape. At its core, Kant's philosophy compels us to confront fundamental questions about our ethical responsibilities and the nature of morality itself. In a world rife with ethical dilemmas, where personal interests often clash with collective well-being, Kant's ideas challenge us to seek a higher standard of conduct. One of the most profound implications of the categorical imperative is its call for universalizability. Kant urges us to consider the broader impact of our actions, prompting us to ask, would I want everyone to act in the same way? This question encourages a sense of accountability and fosters a moral community where individuals recognize their interconnectedness. It reminds us that our choices do not exist in a vacuum. They ripple through society, influencing others and shaping the moral fabric of our communities. Moreover, Kant's emphasis on treating others as ends in themselves reinforces the inherent dignity and worth of every individual. In an age where issues of inequality, discrimination, and exploitation persist, this principle serves as a powerful reminder of our obligation to respect and uphold the rights of others. It challenges us to advocate for justice and to act in ways that honor the humanity of those around us, regardless of their background or circumstances. However, Kant's philosophy also invites us to grapple with the complexities of moral decision-making. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable reality that doing what is right is not always easy. The categorical imperative asks us to act with integrity, even when faced with difficult choices or potential consequences. It challenges us to cultivate moral courage and to stand firm in our convictions, even when it requires personal sacrifice. In essence, Kant's philosophy remains relevant today, urging us to reflect on our moral choices and the principles that guide our actions. It invites us to engage in critical thinking about ethics and to strive for a world where honesty, respect, and dignity are upheld. As we navigate the complexities of modern life, we must ask ourselves, should we always do what's right, even when it's difficult? And if not, who decides what's right? These questions are not merely academic, they are essential to our shared humanity and the pursuit of a just society. As we conclude this exploration of Kant's categorical imperative, let us carry forward the challenge to think critically about our moral obligations and to engage in meaningful conversations about ethics. The journey of understanding morality is ongoing, and each of us has a role to play in shaping a more ethical world. As we wrap up our exploration of Immanuel Kant's Categorical Imperative and its implications for our moral lives, I invite you to reflect on the ideas we've discussed today. Do you believe that morality should be absolute, as Kant suggests, or do you think it should be more flexible, allowing for the complexities of human experience? How do you navigate ethical dilemmas in your own life? Engaging with these questions is crucial, as they challenge us to think critically about our values and the principles that guide our actions. I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's create a dialogue where we can learn from one another and explore the nuances of morality together. Your perspective is valuable, and it contributes to a richer understanding of these philosophical concepts. If you found this discussion enlightening and want to dive deeper into the world of philosophy, consider subscribing to our channel. We'll continue to explore thought-provoking topics that challenge our understanding of ethics, justice, and the human experience. Together, we can foster a community of critical thinkers who are committed to exploring the complexities of morality in our lives. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Kant's philosophy. Remember, the pursuit of ethical understanding is a lifelong endeavor, and every conversation brings us one step closer to a more just and compassionate world. Let's keep the conversation going.